Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are going to learn a lot today, and I'm super excited. I just, out of the gate, before we do anything, her energy is just, it's infectious. It's just crazy that how much energy this woman emanates and harnesses. Frankie Hart is with us from Satya Yoga. And we're going to talk about your chakras and how important they are to making you feel better, helping you heal from traumas, and so much more. Frankie, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Steve. Glad to be here and to talk about this with you.
Yeah, so let's go back to the basics before we focus on the second chakra. We have a total of 7. Actually, I've heard, let me just say, there are hundreds, but 7 main chakras in our bodies, right?
Exactly. So if you're thinking of energy points, they're in the tradition of yoga, they talk about over 70,000 nadis. So these are energy points within our body, right? You could think like stars in the sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then the chakras are sort of like galaxies, right? So that they're larger energy centers. And there are 7 that are along the spinal column. And that spinal column of energy is very, very important. It's often referred to as the Sushumna channel. And so these 7 chakras go from the root of our spine to the crown of our head.
You know, I never thought that they were connected to the spine because there is a heart chakra, but that is pretty much in line with the spine.
Absolutely, with your T-spine, right? The thoracic spine. And that is such an interesting concept, actually, Steve, because so many people sit in chairs a lot during the day, right? So say you're a person who works on the computer, drives your car a long distance, right? It is that very heart center that tends to get collapsed on us in our modern posture, right? And so it's interesting when we consider that there are things that we can do for that, for our spine health as well, by working with the energy of the body.
Is there one chakra that's more important than the other?
Absolutely not. It's
Interesting.
like saying one part of your body is more important than the other. You know, what I often
It
think
depends
of...
on who you ask, but anyway, keep going.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But think of it this way. If you have trouble with your hand, say you've hurt your hand, say you've broken a finger, your finger takes a lot of your attention. There's pain, there's discomfort. Now you're frustrated, your hand doesn't do what it used to do.
Sure.
So that has a lot of your personal awareness. Another person might have trouble with their hip, right? Same thing with the chakras. If a chakra is out of balance for you, it will draw a lot of attention to that area of your body, to those concerns of your lifestyle. And so that's what I'm hoping to help people with in these 7 podcasts, is to sort of begin to understand for themselves where they could best focus. And sometimes the things that go really well for us, we don't think about, right? Like, so a person who has hip trouble, often if they have a hard time relaxing, I ask them to focus on someplace else in their body to begin with, right? Where are you comfortable? Where can you settle, right? Similar with our chakras, maybe there's an aspect of our life we're very frustrated. We're going to be talking about second chakra today. Relationships are very much involved in the second chakra. So you might be talking to somebody who's very upset. They don't have the relationship in their life. They're looking for a lover. They're very frustrated. And yet their career might be brilliant and going very well and very satisfying for them. So we can see that, say that relationship chakra is taking a lot of their attention, but other areas that are flowing really well, with some conscious reflection, they could tap into that positive flowing energy and increase their overall energy flow.
Let's start.
Okay.
I'm right there with you. Let's dig in. Chakra number 2, the second chakra.
Chakra number 2. So before we started, you had asked about the 7. So let's just build them from the bottom up.
Sure.
And that'll kind of give people an idea too, a little sneak preview of where we're going in our podcast. Does that sound good, Steve?
Please. Yeah, that's great.
So the root chakra is the first chakra, and that is the one that is at the very bottom of the spine, at the pelvic floor. And if you're interested in that one, that's our first podcast that I did with Stephen. You can look at that in Podcast Business News Network. You can check that out with us. Then the next one that we're going to talk about today is called the sacral chakra. So this one is located within the pelvis and in front of the sacrum, which is a very interesting center because there's no other bone in the body that is named sacred, right? So it's a fascinating bone, and it's very essential because it is both inherent, intrinsic to the spine and to the pelvis. So you can't have a full spine without your sacrum, and you can't have a full pelvis without your sacrum. So it is where we create this basin of the pelvis, and it is our center for creation as well as procreation, for our sexuality, for our relationships, for our artistry, for all of the passions in our life, and for beauty, the ability to see beauty all around you, in nature, in others, and even in yourself, hopefully, especially in yourself, because that's where we begin to find the joy of our life, right? Where we begin to understand our own true worth and beauty.
So our goal, are we going to do the rest of the chakras, or we're stopping at number 2 to focus today?
Let's just jump up and talk about
Okay.
what they are. All right. So then
Gotcha.
the third chakra is at the navel. All right. So that's the navel chakra, which has a lot to do with your sense of personal power. All right. So we'll be talking about that next time. And yeah, you want your third chakra if you're going in the boardroom.
Does it have a different name than
They all, yes, they all have different names. So
what's
the
that called?
chakra, the Manipura.
You know, I thought it had another name, not just the navel chakra. I've never heard that term.
It could be also solar plexus.
That's it.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
Okay.
Yeah. And then above that, the fourth chakra is our heart chakra. Probably the most well known, because we understand something about our heart as an energy center as well as an organ. So when chakras are new to people, I often just bring them first into the heart chakra, because we all have a sense of that in our language, every language. You know, my heart feels this, my heart feels that, right? It's natural for us to express from that place. And you would say, oh, is your heart as an organ feeling that? We would say, no, it's my heart. I love you with my heart, and so we have that ability to see our heart both as this amazing organ for health, but also as an energy center.
Frankie, I love you. I love you with my third chakra. And what's interesting is we talk about the sacral chakra, the second, and that is kind of the center for relationships. Intuitively, one would think it's the heart chakra, but not so much.
Well, that's where, so when our sexuality meets our compassion, our higher sense of loving kindness, selflessness, right? That's when we get this beautiful fusion of heart chakra and sacral chakra in a relationship. That's where the best meets the best, isn't it? Right? Right?
Interesting. And to have a true, fulfilling, loving relationship.
Yes.
Those number 2 and number 3 got to be working well together.
Yes. And number 2, 3 is going to be your power center, and then 4 is the heart. 4 is the heart. Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Exactly.
Number 4. Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So on to number 5.
Number five, you are going to excel in. We are using this very much today. This is the throat chakra. So throat chakra is about our ability to express ourselves, right? So anyone in a field like you are, that's something you've developed and craft very well, to be able to speak, to communicate, to get across your ideas. And on a more esoteric level, it's to create the expression of our own personal life. Right? No one can ever create this unique expression that each person out there is creating, right?
So it's almost sounds like that's your individuality in a lot of ways.
It's your expression of your individuality.
Gotcha. And it could come into play if you have some energy issues, let's say in a relationship, in voicing yourself clearly in that relationship, communication.
Beautiful. So for instance, you might have a perfectly wonderful, compatible partner you know, you're sexually attracted, your heart centers are connected, and sometimes you just bang into each other because your communication skills are different.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
maybe. Okay. Love language. You've heard that
Yes.
before. Everybody's got a different
Yes.
love language. Is that more here or here or both?
It is both because it's the element of love that we're talking about, but the love language itself, I think what you're hitting on there very much is throat chakra.
Hmm.
How do I,
Okay.
how do I express this love to you? And how do I receive this love? How do I receive an expression of love? And how do I give an expression of love? Yeah. So I
Excellent.
think that's a beautiful example of the throat chakra. And what better thing to express than love and appreciation, right?
Amen to that. Uh,
Yeah.
on to the next chakra.
All right. Sixth chakra is often called the third eye chakra. Third eye. This is your seat of intuition, imagination, that feeling of just, I just know this. I know this to be true. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. I just know this. I know this down to the core of my being. That's our third eye chakra. When
Hmm.
we have blockages in our third eye chakra, it's very hard for us to imagine a better life, to imagine a positive outcome, right? To imagine a different way of being. We feel like everything is just how it is and it's always going to be that way, right? But the third eye chakra takes us both forward into the future with clear vision, clairvoyance, right? And that's all third eye
Hmm.
chakra. And also, it allows us to see back into our past with clarity and understanding, with a kind of intuitive knowing, right?
How do you activate that third eye?
Mm. Well, you have to get clear, right? So when we're really talking about third eye, you have to get clear. And a big part of that, Steve, is about getting out of your own way, right? So what gets in our way is obstacles or resistances. And these don't exist so much in our body as in our mind, right? So
Hmm.
resistant thinking, right? Self-limiting thoughts. These are the things that really clog up our third eye chakra. Time in nature, time just looking and appreciating things. I I love art. I actually like modern art. A lot of people don't, but I do. And you know, like going to the MoMA and looking at the Brancusi exhibit of sculptures. You know, I can just sit in there and meditate. You know, and just lose myself and feel all of the congestion, say, of the day, or when I lived in New York, all of that just slipping away and just finding that quiet, calm stillness. And it's within that stillness, within that blank canvas, that the intuitive thought comes or the inspiration comes.
There is a band that had a bunch of hit songs in the late 90s. I don't know if you remember them, called Third Eye Blind. And I used to
Yes.
hear the name. I'm like, hey, what a cool name. But it does mean something, when you say third eye blind, that you are blind to your third eye. And when you look at some of their lyrics, one of them, biggest hit song they had was Semi Charmed Kind of Life. So
Mhm.
there's a lot there that I never picked up on until now, when you think
Yeah.
of, chakras.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Very
run out of time so we can focus on the
good.
sacral, but
Okay.
the seventh chakra.
Seventh chakra, crown chakra. Crown chakra. Crown chakra, you know, I think the best way to understand crown chakra is to connect with whatever sense of spirituality you have yourself, right? So this doesn't have to be religion, but it could be. So if you're a religious person, it's through your crown chakra that you experience the divine in life and in yourself, right? Also, if you're not a religious person, this could be how you feel when you're in nature and you're just blown away by the expansiveness of nature and you think, oh my gosh, you know, like when you're in that amazing place on the planet and you feel like you're just one little speck of grain of sand, but it's not a self-limiting thing, it's a beautiful thing. You're just wow, right? And you have this sense that you're a part of a greater whole, right? That's the crown chakra. And when we understand we're a part of a greater whole, we start to understand ourselves as a being of love and light. And
Hmm.
that's that can take a little bit to get to, right? If you're a little cynical, right? But when we're really in those magical moments, you know, even if it's just a gorgeous sunset at the beach, right? And the dolphins are swimming out there, you lose that sense of your cynicism, don't you? And you're just like, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. And I'm a part of this, right? Seeing yourself as a part of that helps you understand this relationship with the crown chakra. Yeah.
And isn't it, Frankie, when somebody does a meditation or suggested meditation where it does start at the crown chakra, where you visualize a ray of light coming down from the sky into your head and then taking it right down to your feet and to the ground, is that part of that as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What I always want my students to understand in meditations to first feel very grounded, right? Just like a lightning rod. So you want to first feel very grounded in energy experiences in the first three chakras before you start to do a lot with the crown chakra. That's why I'm starting here at the root.
Ah,
You could think of your body as a vessel, right? And so if you concentrate too much on energy moving in the head first without having a groundedness, like a lightning rod for you, it can be a little bit ungrounded, let's just say uprooted. And we want our experiences to be very safe, very soothing for the nervous system, expansive, yes, but grounded also. And so I always recommend that people first start to get very comfortable in thinking of their first three chakras as the hearth within which we're building this fire of the Kundalini. Yeah. Yeah.
well, I'm sitting on a grounding mat right now.
Wonderful.
Not even kidding.
Beautiful.
You know what? It's made for your feet, but my feet are always moving around and not flat. And I thought, what's the flattest part? Your butt's sitting all day, so it's connected to ground, like literally the ground lug on your AC outlet, which is
Mhm.
connected through your house through a metal rod to the ground.
Yeah,
So, you know,
yeah,
I firmly believe in grounding being so essential to all of
yes.
us. And if you can't go outside and walk in nature, if it's too cold, whatever it might be. All right, so let's dig deeper into the sacral chakra.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the element of the sacral chakra, if we were just talking about grounding, so the root chakra is earth element. The element associated with the sacral chakra is water. So this ability to flow, to adapt, and to be juicy, right? So the sacral chakra is your juicy chakra, right? Where creativity and sensuality and sexuality all come from or emanate from. So the animal often associated with the second chakra, the sacral chakra, is the fish, right? This beautiful ability to swim and adapt and to flow very smoothly through the water. This adaptability and fluidity, this element of water, allows us to also adapt to change. And change is a part of life, right? The only thing certain is change, right? So we could understand this kind of diving in very deeply right away by, say, a person who has just gone through a difficult divorce, right? So the second chakra, of course, is having to process that break of their relationship and loss of a partner, loss of this aspect of their life, especially if there were damaging words or things that were said. And so when we restore our own sense of energy in the second chakra and we come to understand our own sacred sexuality just for ourselves without even a partner, right? When we start to let that energy flow, we can heal from these more difficult things as opposed to becoming very cut off, right, from that aspect of our own life where we feel rigid or controlling, right? We might feel a need to be very controlling. And you see this difference of being watery, right?
Hmm.
And of course, it takes trust to do that, but we want to do that first within ourselves. And so one of the things that I want to invite people to think of right away with the second chakra, especially those who are not in a relationship right now, is that the first and most important person you ever want to date is yourself.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
If you don't want to go out with you, nobody else is going to want to go out with you.
Amen. That is
Yeah.
right. That is right. I remember one time when someone said, "You're going out to dinner with yourself," and I was like, "Yeah, you don't do that."
Can I share? I'll share with you. It's almost
Yes.
embarrassing, but I
Mm.
always have somebody around. I'm always doing something with somebody, making plans. And one night I was working late here in my studio, my office, which is, maybe like 10 minutes, 15 minutes from my home. And it's like, I got to run over and get something to eat. Confession, I've never eaten alone. And that
Ah,
was only a year ago.
yes.
Not
And how
even.
was it? How was it?
Fantastic.
Uh-huh.
I went to Applebee's of all places because it was right there. Best meal I ever
Hey,
had.
hey, fancy like there. That's
Bougie, man, bougie. But it was the best meal I ever had because I focused on the meal and
yes,
me. That was the
yes,
best tasting beer I ever had. And I
yes,
still remember it. I could tell you where I was
yes,
sitting because it
yes.
was just such a wow, this is actually pretty cool. Nothing wrong with having other people around, but what
Right.
do? You have to focus on them as well. So the other things, you have a total sum. You got to give some away, in terms of energy and focus and everything. So yeah, I had a great date. That was a great date that night.
That is fantastic. So I'm so glad you mentioned that for everybody out there, because that's what we're talking about. That is a beautiful way to get your second chakral energy going. And that's where, when you're in that vibration, that's where you meet like-minded people, people who turn you on. You're in the same, wavelength, because you're sending out. Remember, chakras are vibrational energy centers, and they are twofold. It's about what you're receiving, but it's also about what you're sending out, right?
Hmm.
So if you're sending out, "Oh, life is horrible,"
Yeah.
that's what people are picking up from you, right? But if you're sending out, "Wow, I'm having the greatest time here by myself," you're going to be picking up people who are, I don't mean dating wise picking up, but meeting or running into, connecting with other people who are tuned into that similar vibration,
They're
right?
picking up on your energy. It could be same thing if you're single, you're on a dating app or two, and maybe you communicate with somebody, and after a while, it's like, say, it's all good, but I'm just not feeling it. Why?
Right.
Because you're picking up on their energy, and it can be done just that way. It's
Mhm.
you don't even have to meet them. You can
That's
still
right.
pick up on their energy. And on the reverse of that, if you got stuff going on and you seem to be attracting the same types of people that don't serve you, maybe you
Yes.
got something going on that's pulling them in.
Excellent. So let's dive in there, because that's really great for second chakra focus, right? So we've talked about different aspects of the sacral chakra, but I want to jump into this one now. Laughter, intimacy, and play, creative exploration. So I was talking with a student this week, a dear friend, and she said this so beautifully, just out of the blue. She said, it can be really hard to play. I was realizing, like she was talking about, being with her children and just to connect into that energy of playing. And she's like, it's really, and I looked at her and I said, intimate. And she's like, yeah, because when we get overwhelmed with work, right, and all the serious adultness of life, right, we start to dry up and start to all of our circumstances are sort of controlled circumstances, right? We're working to control them. Other people are controlling them. And all of a sudden we have this window of the opportunity to play. And wow, you have to let a part of your true self kind of come out and play. And that has nothing to do with controlling, right? It has to do with exploration and playfulness, laughter, intimacy.
Yeah.
So, second chakra, I really would love people to just start to explore and notice what excites them, what interests them, and give yourself opportunities to do a little bit more of that. Don't worry about the outcome, but just try less, and enjoy more. And notice how you feel when you're doing what you're doing, right?
Absolutely. And even like you said, laugh more, but realize what makes you laugh. For me, it could,
Yes.
I'm like a 12-year-old. Like I'll laugh at the dumbest, stupidest things. And when you find other people that, I have friends that are my age and, we'll be laughing at the dumbest things. And they could be just ridiculous, like
Mhm.
12-year-old boys laughing at stuff.
Mhm.
But
That's right.
I guess that's my my sacral chakra working. I don't know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this ability to play opens up our vitality, our
Mhm.
vibrancy, right? Right. So, there was some study I read once that for couples, like couples who had been together for a long time, one of the things that helped couples renew their sense of intimacy, renew their sense of play, was to do exciting things that were out of the normal for them, right? So, whatever that was, right? I don't know. It doesn't have to be skydiving, but that of course
Mhm.
comes up. Um, but it's because all of a sudden you see this person that you've known for a long time in a slightly different way.
Yep.
And even more importantly, you're seeing yourself in a slightly different way. You're allowing yourself to be vulnerable with each other. You're allowing yourself to take a risk, to get to know each other on another level, right?
Yeah. A
I
new
love
experience, a new
a new
experience for both,
experience
right?
with a little bit of excitement, which, we all love to sit back and I make a fire and watch a film on Netflix. I love that.
Sure.
But that can't be your whole relationship. Sometimes you want to go out and see the world together and share that experience, right? So some of that walkabout together is really important to bring newness to yourself and to your relationship. And to always remember, the second chakra reminds us we are the creator of our life. We are the creator. And as we are creating our life, we can choose here in the second chakra with pleasure, right? So when we're playing, children who are playing, are really lost in their own self, their own world, right? And they're free to do that.
Yep.
When we get caught up in trying to keep up with the Joneses, or what do other people think about me, or we've been told things as children, oh, your laugh is too loud, or you do this, you're too that, you're not enough of that. We can carry that forward into our adulthood, right? So in the second chakra, we want to just let go. It doesn't matter what other people think of us right now. We want to just find out what we think. And like you said, what do we enjoy? What's exciting for us?
So quick questions. We're just about out of time, but it's kind of an
Okay.
important question.
Yeah.
What if your sacral chakra is blocked? What about if there's, stuck energy, things going on there where you want to make those changes, you want to, do those things, but it's just not happening?
Yeah. Yeah. So little things that we've talked about already, like try to find little ways to date yourself, right? But I have a whole list of little positive affirmations. And after our podcast, I would like to, maybe tonight I'll put these on my Facebook site so people can come back and listen to them. But I'd love to share some of them with you now.
Please do.
I love and enjoy my body. I have healthy boundaries. I am open to experiencing the present moment through my senses. So the second chakra is all about your senses. Like you were saying, you really tasted your meal. You really tasted the drink.
And present moment, so
In
key.
present moment, yeah. I am passionate. What am I passionate about? I'm going to explore that. I feel pleasure and abundance with every breath I take. I nourish, this is important, I nourish my body with healthy food and clean water. Another really important one. I
Mm.
know how to take care of my own needs. I know how to do that. I value and respect my body. I am open to touch and closeness. If that's difficult for you, like say you've experienced some trauma, getting some support with that, but also animals, like domestic animals, cats and dogs, that can be such a safe way to experience this warmth and nurturing touch. I allow myself to experience pleasure. This is one I like very much. My sexuality is sacred. My sexuality is sacred. And even ideas of other people or parents or so on, you have to move that out and really come to understand yourself. And, we're in a culture now that's starting to really accept and understand that. And that's really exciting. Emotions are the language of my soul. I am at peace. I am at peace. So these
The
are
last one is
really,
probably the most important one when you think about it.
right?
Yeah.
Right. A meditation I did today in one of my yoga classes, as I told them about the podcast we were doing today in the sacral chakra, was as simple as just going through a relaxation of the body and then focusing as you inhale on, I love every cell of my body. And exhale, I am satisfied. That satisfaction is in Sanskrit, in the language of yoga, is called santosha. Satisfaction is the beginning, is the doorway to so many of these beautiful, exciting, passionate emotions, right? But when you think of a person who can never find satisfaction, right? Like you go to dinner with them, they're not happy with this, they're not happy with that, the waiter is not good, the food is not good, this, then you go outside, the weather's not, it's too hot, it's too cold, it's this, right? It's very hard to play with that person, right? They're having a hard time playing themselves, right?
But I found that, and I found myself being that way at one point, not to that degree, but it's almost as if it becomes a running joke. Like that person is like, that's their thing. What I'm saying? Like if somebody says, I'm a perfectionist all the time, I got to make sure that's their thing. And people talk about them because of that. It may not be who they really are,
Right.
but
Right.
it becomes their thing, a habit. I want to talk with you for an hour or two, but we're out of time.
Well, that's the exciting thing. We have another podcast coming, Steve. I feel the same way, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you shared that vulnerability. Of course, me too. We all have moments where we're like, we're disgruntled and we're not satisfied. And when I start to notice things in my life that I usually feel, wow, that's so beautiful. And I start to look at it and it's just like, I don't notice the beauty. I realize I need to check in. I need to meditate more. I need to sleep more. I need to just, unplug, stop working for a few moments, come back to myself, right? Because some of that is really that we've just gotten a little disconnected from ourselves or from nature, from each other. And the way we come back to all of that is through ourselves, right?
It's almost as if you get to a point with your magical beauty life fuel tank starts getting empty and you got to put more in. How do you do that? Treat yourself right, more sleep, meditate,
And let more out. We're in a Western culture. Everything is
mm,
about putting in, putting in, putting in, right?
yeah.
Sometimes here in the second chakra, sometimes it's just all clogged up. Sometimes you just have to say, I can let go. I can let go of that past. It doesn't serve me anymore. I can let go of that relationship. I'm the only one holding on to it. It's just making me miserable,
It's
right?
totally true. The other person doesn't care.
The other person's gone 5
Yeah,
years ago, right? And
right.
you're still going, "Rah, rah, rah," right? And that's why it's so fun to laugh about these things and chat with each other about them because we're all human. We all fall into these traps. But I think a lot with the second chakra, can we let go and create space, right? Space to play, space to see beauty, space to flow. And you know what? We don't fall in love with perfect people. We fall in love with people. We fall in love with the quirky things about them. We fall in love with people and we say, oh, I love this about you. And then they say, what? I've been trying to change that my whole life. And you're like, no, I love that. I love that your hair is
100%.
crazy curly, or I love that you're so vibrant, or I love that you're this quiet to yourself self. But then when I get to know you, you have this vibrant personality when we're just together, that's the beauty of it.
And that's
The
when you
more
know
we
it's real, where you
yes.
you you look at somebody and you say, you know, if it was somebody else, I would say, well, look at that, and look at that, look at that. But when you have that full connection, I guess, between all the chakras, you don't care. It's like this person's magical because
Yep.
everything is all working together. It's all feeling
Absolutely.
right.
We
Yeah.
treasure their uniqueness. And we learn how to do that by honoring and treasuring our own uniqueness, our own beauty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff today. Really good. Um, I like my sacral chakra. I really do.
Right on. I like hearing that, Steve. That's awesome.
So tell everybody your website, which can get us to your Facebook page if they want to see the affirmations that we talked about.
Absolutely. I'll put them up later tonight, so they'll be there tomorrow. Satya, Satya, life, life.com is my website. You can write us at info@satyalife.com, or always give us a call, 863-802-9642.
Awesome. And you know what? If you're in a committed relationship, I'm going to tell you right now, go cheat on yourself. Go cheat on the other person. Date yourself. It's okay.
Steve, that might be the most important comment you've made today.
I thought I had other ones too.
That is why people cheat, because they've lost their own connection to their own sexuality. That is why, and they're looking for the other person to ignite it, but we can never ignite our sexuality for any long term from another person. I love how you said that. That's brilliant.
And you just held the keys to, my past relationships. So, and not me. So that's fantastic too. Yeah. A lot of insight when we talk about chakras, and never expected that today. So Frankie, thank you so much. Again, your energy is, I wish you could sell that, but we can
find this within yourself. Exactly. And that's what we're here to help you with. Yes.
So much looking forward to the next time we get together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.